Okay. All right. Today's learning. Okay. Let's just. Today's learning is Daf Samach Gimel, and we are beginning Be'ezus Hashem at the end of Daf Samach Beis Amud Beis, and we're discussing again what does a person mean when he says certain things. So Mishnah said we're going to just very easy, very straight, and basically today's Gemara is mostly a Mishnah. Mishnah said, just to review, that if a person says, I'm not going to drink wine until the Geshamim, till the rain season, right? So then it means Ad Shetered Reviya Shniya, until the second rains come down. In Israel, the first time rains come down, the first time rains come down is probably the 17th of Mar Cheshvan. The second time rains come down is like the 23rd of Mar Cheshvan. It's like different bursts of rain when it starts raining in Israel. So when a person said, I'm not going to drink wine till the rains, he doesn't mean the first time it rains in Israel in the winter season. He means the second time that it rains. And we'll see more about that in the Gemara. But it has to actually rain, because if it didn't rain, you're still obligated to your neder. Rab Shimon ben Gamliel says, no, it doesn't really have to rain. It means unless when it's expected to rain. The time that it's expected to rain, then that's where your neder is up to, but not beyond that. In other words, even if it didn't rain on the 23rd of Mar Cheshvan, your neder is finished. You reach the 23rd of Mar Cheshvan. According to the first Tana, it actually has to rain. Let's say it starts raining on the 25th of Mar Cheshvan. According to the Tanna Kama, your neder is still effective until it actually has to rain. Now, the Rab Shimon ben Gamliel makes more sense. Why does Rab Shimon ben Gamliel make more sense? Because if you never tie something to something that's unpredictable. So a person wouldn't make a neder until something unpredictable happens. It's not a precise science exactly when it's going to rain, what time. So he probably meant when it usually is expected to rain. So Reb Shimon ben Gamliel makes more sense. But the Gemara is going to explain about that. So the Gemara says, Ad Geshamim, Ad Yigsham, Ad Tered Reviya Shniya, until it actually rains. Reb Shimon ben Gamliel Omer, it means that it's the time that it's expected to rain. Amar Rab Zera, okay? Rab Zera said, Machaloikis the Omar, the Machaloikis is, does it actually have to rain for your neder to go off? Or it doesn't have to rain, but it's expected to rain? It's only if you said Ad HaKeshamim, till you added the words, till it rains. So you added the Yud, the Mem. So then we assume that you actually are, according to the Tanna Kama, your neder, you stressed your neder to actually see raindrops from heaven. That's what you want. That will make your neder go away. Avol Omar Ad Hageshem, if you said the word till the rain, right, then it means even the Tanna Kama, even our first Tana would agree, it doesn't mean that it actually has to rain. It means Ad Zman Geshamin Ka Omar, until it actually, the time where you expect it to rain, that's when your neder is agreeable. So the only machlokes is if they said Geshamim, but Ad Hageshem, till the rain, even the Tanna Kama would agree that it doesn't actually have to rain. So Meisaveh, let's see what the dates are. So you get very clearly what we're talking about over here. And this is just a review of what we learned in Masechta Tanis. We're on Samach Gimel Amar Aleph. Meisaveh, Ezehu Zman Shel Reviyah. When is the time that you expect the second rains to come? The second rains. The first rains come, and then you say the same Talmud Bavli right away. So when is the second rain supposed to come? So Habakira, if it's an early year, you can expect the second rains to come B'Gimel on the third day of Cheshvan. Beidinis, if it's an average year, B'Shiva, on the fourth day of Mar Cheshvan, on the seventh day of Mar Cheshvan. Afila, if it's a very late year and it's not raining, the latest you can expect the second rains are Be'esra Mushloisha, the 23rd. Remember, between the first, according to Rameir, between the first on an early year to an average year is about 4 days. On a very early year, it starts raining 3rd of Mar Cheshvan. On an average year, it can actually start raining on the 7th day of Mar Cheshvan. There's a 4-day difference between an early year and a late year, and a medium year. Rabbi Yehuda says, B'shiva u'v'shiva also v'esrim shloisha. The difference is that it's the real early years, it's actually the 7th day of Mar Cheshvan, and the next time, a medium year, on average, it's the 17th day of Mar Cheshvan. So it's an 11-day difference between an early year and an average year. And the latest time you could expect the second rains are Be'esrim Shloisha on the 23rd of Mar Cheshvan. And Rabbi Yossi, this is the opinion we follow. Okay? And you'll ask me, what do I care when the second rains come? You'll see in a second. B'Shiva Asar is the 17th day, is the earliest that the rainy season comes for the second. U'Be'esrim Shloisha, or the 23rd of Mar Cheshvan, or this is supposed to be the 17th, the 23rd of Mar Cheshvan. So there's a 7-day difference between an early, according to Rabbi Yossi actually saying the first rains come on the 17th day, and the second rains come on the 23rd. So the first rains come on the 17th day. The second rains come on the 23rd. Well, the Chodesh Kislev could become the third type of rains, the third rains. So again, there are actually 3 rain seasons. When it starts to rain in Israel, there are 3 time periods. There's the early time period of the first rains, and then there's a second period called the second rains, and then there's the third period called the third rains. Now, if it doesn't rain at all to the third time, then you know it didn't rain at all. It didn't even start raining. So, Rabbi Yossi used to say, Ein hayechidim misanin ad she'egia Rosh Chodesh Kislev. Rabbi Yossi would say that tzaddikim would not begin fasting until they reached into a serious situation that's Rosh Chodesh Kislev, and it didn't rain. They didn't want to fast, already, and they could have started fasting already the 23rd of Mar Cheshvan because it didn't rain yet. But they would wait till at least the Revi'ah Shlishis, the third rains, and if it didn't rain at the third expected time it should rain, then they would begin their fasting. So that's because you don't want to ask God and implore God when you're not in an emergency situation. But again, if it doesn't rain at all during the month of Cheshvan in Israel, then the Yechidim started to fasting. The great tzaddikim would say, I think something bad is happening. Let's start fasting. Va'amrin Allah, and the Gemara asks a question. You told me in the words of Rabbi Yossi, and some learn it in the words of Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Meir, that they're actually giving you the different 3 sets of rains in Israel. One's called Revi'ah Rishayna, the first, one's called Shenis, and one's called Shlishis. So the Gemara is saying like this, Bishlama Revi'ah Rishayna, I understand what Revi'ah Rishayna means. Why do I need to know when it should begin raining in Israel? So the answer is Li Sha'el. So you should know when to say the same Talmud Levracha. And in Israel, according to Rabbi Yossi, you would begin saying Saint Talmud Levracha on the 17th day of Mar Cheshvan. That makes perfect sense. Why you need to know when this first rains come. Shlishis, why do I know when the third rains has to come? Lehis anois, so you should know when to begin fasting. If it didn't rain after the third rains, then you know something's up and you got to implore God to make it rain. So I need to know when the third rainy season, where the third spurts of rain and the first spurts of rain. Elashni elamai, why do I need to know when the second spurt of rain is supposed to happen? Why did they give the date as the 23rd of Mar Cheshvan? V'amar Rab Zera explained, l'neder, a guy made a neder. Let's say he said, ad hageshem. The Gemara understands, he said, till the rain. I make a neder, I'm not drinking wine till the rain. Well, he doesn't mean the first rain. he means actually the second spurt of rain. And that's why I have to know, when is the second spurt of rain expected? That is on the 23rd of Mar Cheshvan. So now the Gemara finishes off its question. So the Gemara understood that Reb Zera was talking about, you said ad hageshem, till it starts raining. Parmin in the law, Kaman Ozo Hadatanya. Who is the author of this opinion, of this brisa? Rab Shimon ben Gamliel Omer. Rab Shimon ben Gamliel says, and he was going according to the Chachamim. Rab Shimon ben Gamliel says it doesn't have to rain, so you don't need it to rain. The neder is off automatically on the 23rd of Mar Cheshvan. That's Rab Shimon ben Gamliel. But Rab Shimon ben Gamliel is saying, you Chachamim would agree to me that if it happened to have rain, Geshamim Shiardu Shiva Yomim Zachazah, if it happened to rain 7 days in a row, right? Rabbi Shimon Gamliel said that you count it as the first spurt of rain and the second day of spurt of rain, because according to only according to Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Shimon Gamliel was referring to the Rabbi Yossi's opinion. Rabbi Yossi said between the first set of rain and the second set of rain, 17th day of Mar Cheshvan and the 23rd day of Mar Cheshvan, there's approximately 7 days. And Rabbi Shimon Gamliel makes this comment to Rav Chachamim that you would agree to me that if it rains for 7 days straight, so it's actually raining straight forth, you don't view it as just that is considered the first spurt of rain, but rather we break it up into two, even if it rains 7 days in a row. Okay. But according to Rabbi Shimon Gamliel's understanding of the Chachamim, it actually has to rain in order for the neder to go off, because that's what Rabbi Shimon Gamliel is saying, that if it does rain for 7 days in a row, you count it as two, and therefore you had the second set of rain, the second spurt of rain where it actually rains, then the neder's off. But Rabbi Shimon Gamliel is saying that according to the Chachamim, it actually has to rain. But you just got through saying that even according to the Chachamim, if you say the words ad hageshem, pull the rain, even the Chachamim would agree that it doesn't have to rain. You just have to reach the date where you expect it to rain on the 23rd. So how does Rabbi Shimon Gamliel remark, according to Chachamim, that he states, according to the Chachamim's opinion, it actually has to rain? Answers the Gemara, right. Ahu da'amar ad hageshamim. That Rabbi Shimon Gamliel was referring to a case where a person said ad hageshamim till it rains. So even there, the Chachamim said it actually has to rain because he added the Yud Mem. And therefore, that's what Rav Shimon Gamliel was saying. Shimon Gamliel was saying that you Chachamim would agree that if it rained for 7 days and the person made a neder ad hakashamim, I'm not drinking wine till the rains, that it breaks apart into two as if it's the two spurts of rain, and the neder is off because it actually rained. But again, economy, you could. The bottom line is that even that the Chachamim would agree if you said ad hageshem, it doesn't have to rain actually, even if it didn't rain. The 23rd of Mar Cheshvan, the rain is off. The game is off. But if you said ad hageshamim, then the neder would be effective until it actually you see raindrops from heaven, the second spurt of raindrops. Okay, let's go to new Mishnah. Painim yayin, the guy is holding by Rosh Hashanah, okay, and he makes a neder, kainim yayin sheini toim l'shana. I'm not drinking wine this year. Rosh Hashanah, New Year's resolution. So you see, the Daf Yomi always reflects the time. A person says, my New Year's resolution is I'm not drinking wine. Okay, so you would think that he only meant 12 months, right? Because that's a year. And what happens? In the middle of the year, the Bezdin got together and they decided to add an extra month. This Abra Shana. They made it a 13-month year. They added an extra Adar. In the time of the Mishnah, we sometimes did not know that at the beginning of the year. So the Mishnah says, also ba ubi ubura. You're usher in that and the extra Adar. Okay, you have to keep your neder, your New Year's resolution for the entire year, including the extra month that was added. This is a big deal because sometimes there are certain obligations that you have for a year, and then Bezdin will add another month, and that's also included in your obligation. Now, the Mishnah says, what happens if a person says, ad Rosh Adar. He says, I make a neder till Rosh Chodesh Adar. So that means, and let's say there were 2 Adars that year. So let's say he's holding in the middle of Teves, all right? And he says, I'm making a neder till Adar, I'm not drinking wine. And there are 2 Adars that year. It was an Iber. So it means ad Rosh Adar Hashini. Ad Rosh Adar Hasheni. Harishon, I'm sorry. Until the first Adar. He doesn't mean till the second Adar, he means till the first Adar. But if he said at Soif Adar, if he said, I'm making the neder till after Adar, it means at Soif Adar Harishon. Until after the first Adar. In other words, without specifying which Adar, that's called Adar Stam, a non-specified Adar always refers to the first Adar. That's what we assume of what you meant. And that's what the Gemara jumps into. Alma, for we see from our Mishnah, Stoma da Adar, the Kama Rishonhu. When a person says Adar, he means the first Adar. That's it. Without specifying which Adar, you mean the first Adar. Leimu Masnisen Rabbi Yehudi. Would you say our Mishnah comes according to Rabbi Yehuda? Because only Rabbi Yehuda holds that when you verbalize Adar and you don't say which one, first one or second one, you mean the first Adar. And how do you say our Mishnah goes according to Rabbi Yehuda? The Tanya, we learned in the Braisa, Adar Rishon, if let's say you're writing a document, so then if it's the first Adar, you have to write in the document the date, Kosev Adar Rishon. You have to write the first Adar. Adar Sheni, Kosev Adar Stam Divrei Meir. If it's Adar Sheni, you don't have to write it's Adar Sheni. You just write Adar without specifying it. And we know you mean Adar Sheni because Adar Sheni is always 29 days. And therefore it's always a steady month of the way you look at it. So therefore, and the Adar Rishon can be a regular Adar could be 30 days. A regular Adar, if it's not a Ibiyar, it's a 30-day. And here Adar Rishon is 30 days. So Adar Sheni is always the same. So therefore, it's always going to be 29 days. So Adar Stam, according to Rameir, means, without specifying, means Adar Sheni, Divrei Meir. In fact, we have Purim on the Adar Sheni. So that may be why Rameir says Adar Sheni is the non-specified Adar. Rabbi Huda says, Adar Rishon, Kosev Stam. If it's Adar Rishon, you write without specifying it. Because everybody knows non-specified is Adar Rishon. Adar Sheni, Kosev Tinyon. Then you have to write it's the second Adar. So who holds Adar Rishon is Adar Stam is Rabbi Yehuda. And that aligns itself up with our Mishnah. So the Gemara is saying that our Mishnah goes according to Rabbi Yehuda. All these things to know has halachas ramifications when they're mekadesh, when they do birkas hachodesh in shul, and they say Rosh Chodesh this Adar. Do they add on Adar Rishon or Adar Sheni, or do they don't say Adar and by one and not the other? Also, if a person wrote in a get and he didn't write Adar Rishon or Adar Sheni in the get, is it a valid get? So it depends. So what according to Rabbi Yehuda, according to Rabbi Meir, what is the default Adar? According to Rabbi Yehuda, the default Adar is Adar Rishon. So that would be aligning itself up to our Mishnah. So the Gemara says not so fast. Amar Abaye says our Mishnah could go according to Rabbi Meir. Afilu Teim Rabbi Meir. You could say our Mishnah goes according to Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir says, when do you say, when a person verbalizes from his mouth a default Adar, he means Adar Sheni, is because if he, at the very beginning, when he verbalized something, he knew that it was an Iber Yar, and he knows that there's going to be a second Adar. So with his default Adar, without specifying, means Adar Sheni. But our Mishnah is Hadalayada. Our Mishnah is talking about a person who's at the beginning of Rosh Hashanah, doesn't know if they're going to make the year bigger. So we don't know if it's going to be an Iber Yar. So then, if he said Adar without specifying, he wants the Adar which he expected to come after Shvat, which is after Shvat, right? The first Adar, that's what he meant. And that's exactly V'hatanya, as we see in a Braisa. We go to Samach Gimel Amud Beis, Ad Rosh Chodesh Adar. If a person says, I make my neder till Rosh Chodesh Adar, it's Ad Rosh Chodesh Adar Harishon. He makes his neder till the first Adar. Now, he says, I make a neder, and it was a leap year. ad Rosh Chodesh Adar Sheni. Until Rosh Chodesh, then you have to keep the neder till Rosh Chodesh Adar Sheni. Now the Gemara doesn't understand the beginning of the brisa. Michlal, if the second part of the brisa is talking about, a 13 Iber Yar, Michlal the Reisha, the Labu Mubaris Askinim. In the beginning, we're not talking about a bigger, a Mubaris type of year, a 13-month year. The beginning of the brisa must be talking about a 12-month year. So what does it mean? Ad Rosh Chodesh Adar, Ad Rosh Chodesh Adar Rishon. When you say Ad Rosh Chodesh Adar, you have to be the first Adar. There is only one Adar if the Reisha is only talking about a year where it's not Mu'uberes. Shmami no, so you have to understand the brisa this way. In the beginning, the brisa is saying, Had the pshita lei the ma'aber shata. If you know that it's going to be a Iber Yar, which is the second brisa, that's the second part of the brisa. You knew for Rosh Hashanah it's going to be Iber Yar, then you mean Ad Rosh Chodesh Adar Sheni. But the beginning, the ratio of the brisa is the layada. You didn't know if it's going to be an Iber Yar. It wasn't established by the Bezdin, by the court, that it's going to be a leap year. And therefore, when you said Ad Rosh Chodesh Adar, you meant Ad Rosh Chodesh Adar Harishon. So that's the default. Again, our Mishnah is you didn't know if they're going to be Ma'aber the year. You made a New Year's resolution. I make my neder till Rosh Chodesh Adar. Even if they Ma'aber the year and they made an Adar Sheni, your neder is over on Rosh Chodesh Adar Harishon. New Mishnah, and this Mishnah actually is one Mishnah till the end of the parak. Rabbi Yehuda says, Koinim Yayim She'ani Toyim Achehei Pesach. He makes a neder. I'm not drinking wine until Yehei usually means till after Pesach. Now, who makes a neder? He's not drinking wine on Pesach. It's probably a slip of the tongue. And that's our Mishnah. Sometimes you could slip the tongue, but we understand that you don't mean it. Nobody is not going to sit down by the Pesach Seder and not drink wine. So, loy niskaven zeh el avlel Pesach ad shedshor shaderech bnei odom lishtus yayin. So that's what our Mishnah is novelty is, that we understand that you only meant till the Seder night, when people sit down to drink wine. You said until after Pesach or until it was Pesach. You didn't mean that you're not drinking wine all Pesach. Everybody drinks wine on Pesach. But you meant to say is that you're holding back from wine until Pesach. So that's the mitzvah to drink wine on Pesach. What happens? Omar, a man says, he says, I'm not eating meat until after the fast. Hatzom is the fast of Yom Kippur. He says, I'm not eating meat. Now, there was a mitzvah, there's a mitzvah actually, and a chumrah to eat meat by the Sudas HaMafsekes before Yom Kippur, right? So why would he make a neder? And so you should have strength to fast Yom Kippur. So why would he make a neder? I'm not eating meat until after Yom Kippur. We understand that he didn't mean that. What he meant was, I'm not eating meat until I'm supposed to eat the Sudas HaMafsekes meat for the Yom Kippur fast. Eino asar al shehei leil tzom, till it's the night of the fast, which means the night before the erev of the fast. That means the afternoon of erev Yom Kippur, where you're eating so that you'll have food in your stomach at the night of Yom Kippur by the Kol Nidre. He meant that I'm not eating meat until when I'm supposed to eat meat, which is Erev Yom Kippur. Again, what the Mishnahs here are saying, sometimes you have a slip of the tongue, and it sounds like you're saying that you don't want to do it, but everybody understands that you meant to stop your neder a little bit earlier than what it came out of your mouth. Here's another thing. I'm sure we've learned this in Masechta Shabbos. There was a minhag that a person should eat garlic on Friday night. Now, who eats garlic on Friday night? If you're a young man and you're going to have relations with your wife, so in order to be more fertile, garlic was a takanas of Ezra, right? From the Anshe Knesset Gedola, that people should eat garlic Friday night, right? And usually it takes effect either quickly or later on in that evening. It makes you more fertile, increases the sperm count. So Rabbi Yossi B'nai Omer, Rabbi Yossi, his son, says, Kainim, he adds, this is only like a takanas Ezra. It's not like a mitzvah in the Torah. But if a man says, Kainim shum, I'm not eating garlic, shani toyim, achatei Shabbos, until Shabbos. Now, it sounds like till Motzei Shabbos, I'm not eating garlic. But I understand that you didn't mean that. What you meant was that you're not going to eat the garlic. You're not going to eat garlic until Friday night. You're not also to eat garlic until Friday night. You only meant that you're not eating garlic until the time when you're supposed to, when most people eat garlic, and that is till Friday night. Again, a slip of the tongue, but we understand what you meant. Now the Mishnah talks about a case. Let's say a guy was always on the take. His friend was always giving him favors, and he's so upset he wants to give his friend a gift. Because I'm always on the take. Now I want to give something. So a man says to his friend, man says, I make a neder that you can't benefit from me unless you accept my gift for your kids. I can't give a gift because you're so special to me. I can't give a gift, but take it on behalf of your children. This huge core of chitim, that's like a ton of wheat, and 2 big barrels of wine, right? So he's forcing the guy and says, if you don't take my gift, then you can never benefit from me your entire life. So the guy could say, the one who's supposed to be the recipient of the gift can say, this neder, I'll consider it as if I accepted the gift because you want to give me a gift to honor me. So by me not accepting the gift is a bigger honor. So therefore, sometimes hareze yochel lahafil es nidroi shloi al pi chacham. Shloi al pi chacham. That a person could nullify the neder not through a chacham. In other words, it can abolish the neder not through the chacham. Why? Because the guy who's supposed to be recipient could say, I only said that you want to honor me. So I'm considering it as if you gave me the gift. So the neder could go off even without actually going to a rabbi, by the recipient saying, I consider it as if I got the gift. I'm giving you a receipt because it's my honor to not accept the gift. So the neder could walk away without going to a rabbi. A guy said the opposite case. He was always on the giving. Let's say this guy was always giving. And now he was saying, I want you to give me something. So he says to his friend, I'll let you to benefit from me. I'll let you give to my son, my young son, right? He's talking about his 6-year-old son. Give him 2 tons of wheat and 2 barrels of wine. So Abaye says, the guy has to follow through and give to his son the chitin and the wine, because otherwise the neder takes effect. The Chachamim say, and he could say, that what? He can say that the guy who made the neder is saying, I could say that I can retract. I didn't want to make a neder. I didn't want you to be awesome to me until you give my son some food. I'll give you a receipt and say, I consider it as if I accepted a gift from you. So that could already make the neder go off. You don't have to go to a rabbi to matter the neder. The neder becomes nullified by itself, as if we consider it, the event has happened. Now the Mishnah ends off, and this ends off the parak. They were forcing you, they were convincing you, this old bacher, to marry your niece. It was not your niece, your daughter of your sister. And that's a good marriage, because the daughter of your sister is usually somebody who's in the same mazel as you. And it was very customary to marry your niece. And he doesn't want to marry her for whatever reason. And he says, I'm never allowing her to benefit from me forever. The guy who divorced his wife, and he says to his wife, my former wife can never benefit me can never enjoy anything from my possessions forever. So we understand that what he's trying to say is, I'm never marrying my niece. I'm never remarrying my wife. I just divorced. So the Mishnah says, they're permitted to benefit from his possessions, Because what he meant was, I'm making a neder, I'm never marrying you again. But that doesn't mean they can't come and take a cup of soda from him or something else. Because even though he said, I asked you in all my possessions, it's just he just wanted not to marry them. So he doesn't have to marry his niece or remarry his former wife. Finally, the Gemara and the Mishnah ends off. A man said to his friend, I'm demanding that you eat by me. Omar, he said, I make a neder, I'm never going into your house to drink tipas soinin, just even a drop of cold water, shani taim lacha, or to taste anything. In other words, I'm never going in to taste a morsel of food in your house or a sip of water. So obviously, what he really meant to say is that I'm never going into your house to eat a full meal because you want me to come for supper. I'm never coming in for that full meal. So therefore, we say that we know he didn't mean that. He's permitted to go into the house, to drink a drop of cold water or to take a soda, because he only meant that I'm making a neder that I'm not going to take a full-blown meal for you. But he didn't mean, even though he blurted it out of his mouth, but we understand that's not what he meant, that he's not taking a drink of water from you. So therefore, that part of the neder doesn't take effect. Now, what's interesting is that the whole neder doesn't work because he actually could eat supper by the guy. Because the fact is that he didn't say, I'm not eating a full course meal by you. So whatever he said out of his mouth, the drop of water is automatically considered a non-effective neder. So he really has no neder. And not only can he drink a drop of water and eat a morsel of food, he could actually eat the whole supper. So Be'ezus Hashem, we finish the 8th parak of Masechta Nedarim, onwards and upwards. Okay.